Well, Saudi Arabia has decided to terminate its 50-year-old petrodollar agreement with the United States.
Saudi Arabia has officially ended its 50-year petrodollar agreement with the United States, shifting to a multi-currency system for oil sales. Well,
in recent days, rumors have been spreading rapidly online about Saudi Arabia ending the petrodollar agreement. Some people believe this could signal the beginning of the end for the US dollar. However, this news hasn't been reported by major Western media outlets like CNN and BBC. Instead, it has mostly been discussed on social media, suggesting it might be fake news. Plus, maybe there is no such thing as a petrodollar agreement at all. Nevertheless, one thing is certain: de-dollarization is happening, and many countries around the world are advocating for using their local currencies instead of relying on the US dollar. In today's video, we'll explore the rise and fall of the petrodollar and, most importantly, what Saudi Arabia's decision to join Enbridge means for the dollar. Before you continue watching, please consider subscribing to our channel to support the rise of Asia. What is the petrodollar? The term petrodollar became widely known in the 1970s when oil prices skyrocketed during the oil crisis. At that time, many oil-exporting countries relied heavily on petrodollars to fund their budgets, resulting in large budget surpluses. However, the concept of petrodollars has roots that go further back. In the early 20th century, most countries used the gold standard, meaning their currencies were backed by gold reserves. After World War II, the US held most of the world's gold supply. At the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944, many countries agreed to peg their currencies to the US dollar instead of gold, because the dollar was more stable. In 1945, the petrodollar system began when Saudi Arabia made an agreement with the US to accept only US dollars for their oil in exchange for military protection and business support. This deal meant the US would protect Saudi Arabia amid regional tensions, particularly with Iran, its main rival in the Arab-Iranian conflict. When Saudi Arabia decided to sell oil exclusively in US dollars, other oil-producing countries in the region followed. Since oil is a crucial global commodity, this move significantly helped establish the US dollar as the world's primary reserve currency. However, in 1971, US President Richard Nixon ended the dollar's convertibility to gold, leading to floating exchange rates and more currency volatility. By that time, though, the US dollar had already secured its position as the dominant global currency. And this was how the dollar becomes the world's reserved currency through petrodollar. However, all of these is about to change. The fall of the petrodollar. Today, many things have changed. When Saudi Arabia originally decided to sell oil exclusively in US dollars in exchange for US military support, it was mainly to counter Iran, its biggest rival. This agreement was crucial during a time of significant regional tension, ensuring that Saudi Arabia had the military backing of a powerful ally. However, recent developments have shifted this dynamic. Saudi Arabia and Iran have restored diplomatic relations through a peace deal brokered by China, which has positively impacted the political climate in the Middle East. This improved relationship means that Saudi Arabia might not need US military support as much as it did in the past, giving it a reason to reconsider its reliance on the petrodollar arrangement. In addition to the changing political landscape, the economic relationship between Saudi Arabia and its major oil buyers has also evolved. The US, once the largest importer of Saudi oil, has seen its role diminish. Today, China is the biggest buyer of Saudi oil, accounting for nearly 24% of Saudi's total oil exports, which amounts to about $56 billion. In comparison, the US only imports around 7% of Saudi oil, less than what Japan, India, and South Korea import. Given that China is such a significant trading partner, it makes sense for Saudi Arabia to consider selling oil in currencies other than the US dollar, This shift would better align with its current economic interests and trading patterns. Furthermore, Saudi Arabia's recent decision to join BRICS, a coalition comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, highlights its strategic move away from a sole dependence on the US. BRICS, led by China and Russia, both of which are major rivals to the US, aims to reduce reliance on the US dollar in international trade. By joining BRICS, Saudi Arabia is signaling its intent to diversify its economic alliances and reduce its dependence on the US dollar. This move aligns with a broader trend of de-dollarization, where countries seek to use alternative currencies to mitigate the risks associated with over-reliance on the US dollar and to strengthen their economic sovereignty. De-dollarization is inevitable. Recently, Saudi Arabia joined a China-dominated central bank digital currency, or CBDC, cross-border trial, marking another step towards reducing the use of US dollars in the world's oil trade. This move involves Saudi Arabia's central bank becoming a full participant in Project mBridge. Launched in 2021, Project mBridge is a collaboration between the Switzerland-based Bank for International Settlements, Innovation Arm, and the central banks of China, Hong Kong, Thailand, and the United Arab Emirates. The project aims to test the viability of CBDCs for instant cross-border trade and other payments using the project's blockchain, the mBridge ledger. The Switzerland Bank for International Settlements announced that Project mBridge has reached the minimum viable product stage after 3 years of development. Major global financial institutions, including Goldman Sachs, HSBC, and China's 6 largest state-owned banks, are also involved in the project. Zhou Mi, a senior researcher at the Chinese Academy of International Trade and Economic Cooperation, commented, "Digital renminbi is an integral part of the global currency system. Including digital renminbi in the settlement of oil trade between China and Saudi Arabia would be beneficial for all parties." For Saudi Arabia, the implementation of renminbi settlement in cross-border trade would optimize the structure of its settlement currency. Once the CBDC initiative is in place, countries will be able to trade and settle transactions using their own currencies, bypassing the US dollar and reducing its dominance in cross-border payments. Jin Ding, a researcher and academic advisor to the China Finance 40 Forum, predicts that in the next 15 years, the renminbi will become more widely used in cross-border trade, bulk commodity imports, and Chinese outbound investments. He said, "It's expected that the renminbi's share in payment settlements will increase by 1 percentage point each year, reaching around 17% by 2035. With these developments, the efforts to de-dollarize are likely to grow. While the dollar remains dominant today and will continue to do so in the near future, it's clear that its dominance is gradually weakening and its influence is fading. Do you agree with our video? If you like what you see, hit the like button to show your support, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.